Most people think raising capital for multifamily is only for the big time investors, or it requires months or even years of grinding, slowly building one relationship at a time. But I'm about to show you why that's completely backwards. To give you an example, we just raised $1.5 million on this $4 million 88 unit apartment complex, and we were oversubscribed within 2 weeks. Now, it's a smaller raise for us, but essentially, we had so many people wanting in, we had to turn people away. And for some of those investors that were in, we had to cut what they wanted to invest in half. And now, over the past several years, our partners and I have built over $550 million portfolio, and people that I have consulted with, some of them starting from scratch, have done even crazier things, like Orlando. He raised $4.5 million in just 4 days. Ricardo did the exact same thing, $3.5 million in 4 days. And then Kevin raised $250,000 from one webinar, and within a few weeks from that webinar raised $2.25 million, which was $750,000 more than he even needed. And none of these guys had a massive track record. While most smaller investors are begging their friends and family, or they're posting on LinkedIn hoping someone notices them, there are 4 different systems, okay? I want to walk you through 4 proven frameworks that can flood you with qualified investors, okay? It may sound wild, but when you know these systems, you can literally 10x your competition overnight. Stick around, because I'm going to show you the exact framework that let Orlando raise that $4.5 million in 4 days in his first time implementing those systems, okay? So for most people trying to raise capital, they're doing it painfully slow, okay? They're growing extremely slow. They only think about networking. They only think about using one method, and it's usually relying on friends and family and hoping and praying that someone they know writes them a check. Now, then what happens? They get stuck at $100K, $200K raise, working every weekend with no predictable lead flow. It's not really a business at that point, it's just a job with a ton of extra steps. But what you are going to do, and what I'm going to walk you through, will bypass the years of wasted effort with little to no returns. So here it is. For the most elite capital raisers, there are 4 major systems we call the F.A.N.S method, okay? Each letter stands for something, and I'm gonna walk you through it, okay? Number 1, the F stands for find. First, you gotta get out there and find investors, obviously. And we call this automated lead flow. We've got to automate the process. The next one is A, add value, okay? Nurture sequences. I'm gonna walk through that in just a second. N is for notify, okay? So presentation frameworks, the actual call with the investor. S is for secure, okay? Your investor CRM. Most of your competition is just leaning on their personal network. They don't know how to build automated systems that can capture 20, 30 qualified investor leads per week. Or the email sequences that educate investors while they sleep, or CRM that tells them exactly who to present their next deal to. Okay, and if you're going to scale your capital raising, it usually looks like growth in chunks. Okay, what do I mean by that? It means you're going to have a certain pool of investors that come from LinkedIn, your outreach on LinkedIn. You're going to have a certain pool of investors that come from webinar funnels, right? You're going to have some that come from lead magnets. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. What's a lead magnet? All right, and then maybe you get referrals from existing investors, but you do this every single month, and when you combine all 4 systems together, you can raise millions of dollars and not be overly dependent on just one source. And this also helps with consistency, because let's say you have a deal fall through, right? Or you're between properties, or you're only relying on your personal network, right? You have no pipeline. But if you have these systems running in the background, you've got 50 to 100 investors waiting for your next deal, no matter what. All right, that being said, how do you go about building these systems? Let's break it down. All right, get out your pen and paper. I boiled it down to just 4 main systems and 6 proven channels to feed those systems. All right, so right now let's break down the F.A.N.S method step by step. System number 1, finding investors. Okay, this is your automated lead capture. This is actually my personal favorite. Why? Because automated lead capture works 24/7. People are scrambling for these leads, but while you're sleeping, while you're analyzing deals, while you're on site visits, your lead capture systems are running on autopilot. In fact, after I share the 4 systems in this video, I'm going to go on a deeper dive into how to actually implement the F.A.N.S section. All right, now what does this look like? Well, first, before I get into tactical, I've got to let you know we're not attorneys. There are rules to raising capital. The SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, governs the game of capital raising, all right, and what you can say on social media, who you can raise from, and look, we're not attorneys. That is why we have attorneys that we use and are on our team for our mastermind clients. And this is just a high level. What I'm going to share with you is just a high level of what we do, not legal advice. So, just so you know, we typically raise capital from accredited investors, and that's typically a 506C offering governed by the SEC, which means we can publicly advertise. 506B means it's non-accredited investors and you can't advertise. So the first step you need to nail is your avatar. Let's get into it. Your avatar is one of the biggest mistakes I see newer investors make, is they don't understand who their avatar actually is. To find out, it actually starts with what type of investment you are providing, all right, so that you can match up the investor based on their goals. For example, if you are raising capital for a value-add multifamily deal targeting 18 to 25% annualized returns and are going to refinance and pay them back in just say 2 to 3 years, and then say you want to give them 30 to 50% ownership of the deal, the investors that are going to want to invest in that are not the ones that are investing in Wall Street or REITs, or maybe they are used to Class A 200 plus unit apartments that may not be a good fit, or they're maybe not looking for a value add deal where it is perceived to be more risk and all they care about is 6 to 7% returns, but 70, 80% ownership in the deal, right? So you need to decide what vehicle you are targeting. If you're unsure about that, my recommendation for most newer or smaller investors with a small portfolio is to do light to moderate value add multifamily, meaning properties that are under market value but above 70% occupied. And they don't need a ton of work to get them up to market rents. And in that case, you are looking for a high net worth investor, right? Someone who has a high paying job, looking for 8 to 10% preferred returns while their money's in play. And then once refinanced or sold, they would get a 20% annualized return if you add up the equity ownership plus the preferred returns within those couple of years. Now, after that, you can get granular with the type of investor that you're looking for, all right? And then you can get even more defined, like, are you targeting doctors, dentists, business owners, corporate executives looking for generational wealth, all right? The more specific you are, the faster you're going to attract the right person. And they will feel like this was built for them, right? If you're literally calling out the exact type of person. Now, I need to back up for a little bit because what I'm about to break down, the systems that you need to attract cold investors, I'm about to break all of that down, people who have never met you before. But if you are raising your first dollar that you've ever raised in your life, before niching down and getting hyper specific on the exact type of person or occupation, etc., you need to let everyone know that you've ever met in your entire life, right? Every single person in your entire contact list know what you are doing and see if they would be open to being a part. All right, and so here's this quick script for you that you can use to send to everyone you know today. I have used this with every newbie to capital raising, and I promise you 100% you will raise hundreds of thousands of dollars if you literally go through your phone right now and just send this to every person you have ever met. All right, here it is. Hi, first name. I wanted to reach out to you about some of the real estate opportunities that I've been working on. I'm coming across more and more private opportunities, and it's starting to become more than I can handle on my own. I am looking for a few more investors to see if it might be a good fit to partner on. Obviously, you'll need more information, but would you consider something like this if it made sense, okay? That's one script. Or if you have a deal, it could be something like this, right? Hi, first name. I wanted to reach out to you about a real estate opportunity that I've been working on. It's looking like it's going to be a great opportunity, but it is larger than what I can handle on my own. So I am looking for a few more investors to see if it might be a good fit to partner on. Obviously, you'll need more information, but would you consider something like this if it made sense? Now, if they respond, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna send those first two out, depending on if you're in a deal or if you're just in your current, you're just raising for your business or letting people know for deals that you're gonna have coming up. And then if they respond, simply send this message, okay? Hey, thanks for getting back to me so quickly. I started investing in asset class, so value add multifamily a few years ago, or I started getting interested in multifamily a few years ago. I saw a real opportunity to see force appreciation, or whatever your strategy is, just share that. Force appreciation, refinance on longer term debt, whatever that is, at increased value through revitalizing neighborhoods, whatever that may be. What's your strategy? My team and I are excited about this because and then your unique competitive advantage. We have the ability to improve properties quickly. We have a strong background in construction. We have the ability, hospitality background, whatever that may be. What's your competitive advantage? We have a strong underwriting background or analysis background. I've been an engineer, whatever that may be. Whatever, there's any kind of unique competitive advantage, even if it's, we're all believe in real estate, whatever it is. Personally, I love this asset class because your why, ideally their why as well. It's one of the safest plays in terms of long-term cash flow or long-term equity growth, or it's one of the fastest routes to appreciation. We're not depending on market appreciation, whatever that may be, and wanted to share it with people I can see myself working with. This particular property is 3 bullet points to why it's a great deal. All right, we're buying it for $1 million less than what they paid for it a few years ago. We're buying it at $10K a door less than what the property down the street sold for, and it's in better condition. And we're really excited about it and pressing to close by close date. That adds urgency. What does the rest of your week look like for a short Zoom meeting where I could share more details? Boom! There's your script. I promise you, every single person I've seen send this out, even if they're brand new, never raised $1 in their life, send it out to every single person in your contact list. It's going to change the game. Now, let's get back into if you are wanting to target cold investors, because that's really where the big money is. All right, let's go. All right, let's get into specifics on what platforms we use to attract more than enough capital from cold leads. Okay, number one is LinkedIn automation. Now look, I'll go deeper into the breakdown of this in just a minute, but from a high level, you can use this to attract high net worth professionals, doctors, engineers, executives on autopilot. Number two is lead magnets, PDFs, or guides that attracts investors actively looking to deploy capital. Again, stay a little longer, and I'm going to give you examples on exactly what to do here. Number three is social media call to action, CTAs. Well, most people overlook this or underutilize this by far, but I was just with someone who raised $40 million in just the past year alone through this one thing. All right, the key here is to make sure that you are providing value and making strong call to actions with each post. Okay, and I'll break this down in a second. Then what you're going to do is mini chat. All right, there's a software called mini chat automation. When someone comments or DMs, they instantly get your info and enter your system. Okay, and then lastly, number four is partnerships. This can be the biggest difference of you hitting singles or home runs, right? Or in capital raising, right? Or 50% increase versus a 5x increase. The beauty of automated lead capture is you're not manually reaching out to every single person, right? The system does it for you. The cons, it takes time to set up, and we're gonna go through that, but you need the right tools. You need to know what messages to send, and if you don't have these systems built correctly, you're just annoying people, right? Instead of actually attracting those people. But when it's done right, you can capture 20, 30, 50 leads a week without lifting a finger, okay? Like I mentioned, this is exactly what we had Kevin do, and he filled up his very first webinar and first raise, raising $250,000 in the first one he ever did from that overflow, within the next several weeks, he raised $2.25 million, over raising his deal by $750,000. All right, now system number 2, add value, okay? Nurture sequences, automated nurture sequences. This one's extremely critical. Most people capture leads and then nothing, right? They don't follow up, they don't stay top of mind. They just hope that the person remembers them when they have a deal. They're not wanting to beg them. Look, it can take 90 days to turn a cold lead into an investor from the time they enter your funnel to the time they actually give you money. Now, if you understand what I'm about to share with you, you can bring that in under 2 weeks as far as your average time. Obviously, there's going to be some people that contribute right away as soon as you get them on the phone first time, but on average, these are the timelines, right? 90 days is still pretty good, but we can bring that down. Nurture sequences are automated email sequences and text sequences that educate investors over time. All right, so you want to cover things like, which by the way, these are the same things you can use in a social media post, okay? But things like why multifamily outperforms other investments, how real estate reduces their tax burden. You know, you can use case studies of deals you've closed, or if you haven't closed any deals, you can use examples of your partners' deals. If you don't have partners, get in a network of people that have. But another one is what returns they can expect, risk management, and how you protect capital. Now, these emails go out automatically. You write them once, they work forever, right? Every lead that comes in, they immediately get these sequence of emails. By the time you have a deal, investors have been educated for weeks or months. They already understand the opportunity. All right, you're not starting from zero. Now, the con to this, right, is you have to actually write these emails. All right, you need an email platform. You need to know what to say, when to say it. But once it's set up, it runs on autopilot and does the heavy lifting for you. All right, system number 3, presentation frameworks. Now, your presentation can make the whole funnel not work if you do not nail this down. So that's why we're talking about it, but there is a play for the webinar, recorded presentations, and one-on-one meetings. But the framework is generally the same, okay? The only difference is in the one-on-one sessions that you're having with investors, you need to add what we call a discovery, okay? This is very important. I'm gonna break this down. For a webinar and recorded video, the structure is simple, okay? If you have an hour in your webinar, you don't have to take the full hour. You can end it early. But here's the typical timeline and here's the timestamps I would recommend and the key topics for each timestamp. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first key point is gonna go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, in terms of the timestamps and what you need to be covering in each of those things. So the first 2 minutes, you're just gonna spend very quickly on you, right? Credibility. Why are you or your partners responsible for this, and what authority do you have? Okay, and this is handling objections. I put next to each one of these, handle objections, because ideally, what we want as a sales standpoint is an objectionless close. By the time people hear the returns, by the time people hear the ask that you're going to make for them to invest, they don't have any objections. Now, we're gonna leave room to handle objections, but ideally, the objections people are gonna have, you need to anticipate, right? So in the credibility section, why should they trust you, right? We need to build trust. You need to share your track record. If you don't have track record, bring on partners. If you don't have partners and it's really just you're taking a leap and you're saying, hey, trust me, well, you need to bring why trust you. Why, what have you done in your life to make them want to trust you? Whether it's doing a hard thing, whether it's graduating a university, whatever that may be that makes you credible. But I would strongly advise bring people on that you can partner with for your very first deal. The next 4 minutes of the presentation is going to be the market. You're going to talk about why that market is so strong and why it makes sense in that market. What's the key economic drivers that are in that market? Like for us, we're in Columbus, Georgia. We have Fort Benning. It's one of the largest military bases in the world. You know, and so that's one reason we have such strong economic anchor in the market, and we know we can keep population strong and steady, not declining. Okay, so what is it about that market, right? Because that's going to be another potential objection, is they want to know, how do I protect my capital, and why is this market not going to decline? So handling objections around the market. Number 6, the property, right? So then you're going to go into why this property, handle objections around, what would they be thinking? What could they potentially bring up that they'd be nervous about with that specific property? Handle those objections, but essentially just break down for 6 minutes what kind of returns they're going to get. What's the play? What are you going to do day 1, 90 days, 6 months, 12 months? When are they going to get their, what does it all look like? And then the returns, the next 8 minutes. So just go over the IRR, the cash on cash. What are they getting? What's the cap rate? When are they going to get their money back? You're going to go over all these different things. And then lastly, you want to leave 10 minutes for questions. Again, this can go more or less, but you generally want to keep it around this time frame, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you use this every single time, but for one-on-one meetings, you're going to typically add in a discovery, right? And first off, there's a frame. You open up the call or open up the meeting with a simple frame to make sure they know it's a professional meeting, right? It's not a hangout with friends and then all of a sudden you have an abrupt end because you didn't get to the offering, right? And you didn't actually get through everything. So you got to frame the call, say something like, we have a short amount of time here. I'd like to know more about your targets and what you have going on, and then I'd love to share about this opportunity if it makes sense. Okay, sound good? Then you go into a discovery. Okay, you're gonna ask questions. Discovery just simply means I've got to discover more about this person. So ask questions like what their goals are, what's their past experience, have they invested before, good or bad experience, and why was it a good or bad experience? What is the main thing they are looking for in an investment? How much would they be wanting to deploy if it made sense? Then you go into the structure above, right? The structure where 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, credibility, the market, the property, the returns. And then you're going to make the ask. You're going to simply say, is this something you would want to consider? How much would you be looking to deploy at this time? Okay, why do we do that? Because when you repeat the same process 10 times, you get really good at it, okay? You know what objections are coming. You know what questions they're going to ask. You handle them before they even come up. Now, the pro and con, the con to this thing is you have to build it one time. You have to test it. You have to refine it. Based on what works, you've got to continue to iterate. But once you have it dialed in, you can present to one investor or 50 investors and the conversion rate stays the same. All right, it stays consistent. System number 4, the investor CRM. You can't manage 100+ investor relationships in your head or in a spreadsheet. You need a CRM that tracks, okay? Who's cold versus warm versus ready to deploy capital? Who's accredited investors versus non-accredited? How much capital do they have available? What's their timeline? When you have a deal, you don't email everyone, right? You filter, show me all the accredited investors with 100K plus available who are ready to deploy capital in the next 30 days. You get a list of 15 people, you email them, 10 want to hear more, 5 commit, you raise $500,000 in a week, okay? Now, the downside of this, you need a CRM, right? And not everybody wants to do a CRM. You need to keep it updated. You need to tag people correctly, but without it, you're flying blind, all right? With it, you know exactly who to talk to and when. So that's the 4 systems, but here's where it actually gets really unfair, all right? There are 6 channels that you can use today to feed these systems with qualified investor leads, okay? Channel number 1, we went over already, but we're gonna go deeper into it. LinkedIn outreach. This is the low-hanging fruit. You can use tools like Expandy or Dripify to automate connection requests with high net worth professionals. This is where you can find a list of people using Sales Navigator and then you can message them. Now again, doctors, engineers, executives, here's your message, okay? Hey, name, I help high income professionals generate 15% plus returns through multifamily real estate with full tax benefits. Are you currently looking for investment opportunities? Okay, that's the script. Simple, direct, qualifies them immediately. You're primarily going to get accredited investors from this method, okay? But what's cool is you'll naturally get business owners and executives who have been looking for opportunities and just needed someone with an offer, okay? You just gotta get it out there. Channel number 2 is lead magnets. This is actually my favorite one, okay? I don't even see a ton of people doing this in real estate right now, but it is a very powerful lever. All right, for example, you can make a simple PDF, which can pretty easily be done, right? And you just title it, How to Invest in Apartments in 2026, just your passive investor guide, or 100 questions to ask multifamily operators before investing money in their deals, right? This is for limited partners. Or another title could be the 5 tax strategies high earners use to build wealth through real estate. All right, then you take that PDF, maybe it's 5, 10 pages, put it behind a landing page, drive traffic with organic content or small budgets on ads, maybe $10 to $20 a day. And then when someone downloads it or they enter your email nurture sequence, they put their information in, they're automatically getting our emails. This works wonders because once they opt in, you're not starting cold, right? They raise their hand, they're interested. Now your emails are just educating them until you have a deal. Also make sure to get their email and their phone number with an opt-in to receive messages, okay? Make sure you put an opt-in that says, we're going to message you, right? And then you can call them. One last thing, we typically use InvestNext or an investor CRM. Once you have a deal, you can have that on your website and people can invest straight through that, all right? So want to make sure you are making it possible for low-hanging fruit and people to invest quickly. Channel number 3, webinar funnels. Instead of 50 coffee meetings, host a monthly webinar. If you want to grow fast or you are currently raising for a current deal that you have on your plate, do this 1 to 2 times per week. All right, you can title it How We're Delivering 15% Returns in Multifamily Real Estate. Walk through a real deal, show the market, show the numbers, show the returns. And at the end, if you're interested in learning more about our next deal, stay on my investor list. Look, 50 people attend, 20 opt in. You just added 20 warm leads in 1 hour. All right, that's leverage. Channel number 4, content marketing. Okay, this was very self-explanatory, but people forget about it all the time. Like I said, I just had a guy hit 40 million in capital in a year. Make a valuable post on LinkedIn and Facebook, okay? And I can show you examples of posts and give you some ideas in the next system, but every piece of content you post captures interested investors either through them checking out your page or an actual call to action like comment guide to get the guide, or comment returns to get the webinar Zoom link, or comment passive to get a free call with our team, right? Or if you are looking to deploy capital into real estate, drop a comment or DM me invest and I'll send you the details. You can add those to your post. And then you can use ManyChat to automate the responses, right? Even if people don't book immediately, they're seeing your content, you're top of mind, and when they are ready, they'll reach out. Channel number 5, partnerships, networking. This is very underutilized. Build relationships with people who are in front of your ideal investors, financial advisors, CPAs, estate planning attorneys. I have these guys all the time talk to me about, I've got this massive network of people, I'm ready to raise capital, just need to find good deals. Business brokers, other syndicators in different asset classes, right? All you gotta do is say, who do you know that is looking to deploy capital? All right, more than that, I'll tell you this, I am literally talking to 2 or 3 people every single week that want to raise capital for other people's deals. All right, there are so many people that have a large network and want to participate, if you'll let them, as a general partner in your deal, even at a small percent, and they can bring the capital, right? So if you join like-minded investor groups, there are a bunch of people like this out there, okay? You never know who's going to come from this one method, okay? I've seen people raise millions from one strategic partnership. I've also seen members of our group strike podcast sponsorships, event sponsorships, all kind of different partnerships, and all it takes is one strong partnership to double your lead flow and trust in the market, okay? Channel number 6, investor referrals, the last channel right here. Over time, As you close investors and deliver returns, okay, they become your best marketing. After every distribution or quarterly update, what you want to do is ask, do you have any friends or colleagues who might be interested in opportunities like this one? One investor becomes two investors become four. That's how you scale. We have investors all the time say, man, I got tons of friends that want to be a part of deals like this. We just had a doctor tell us that exact same thing. We didn't even have to solicit. People just need to hear it and they'll do it, all right? Now, there are 4 major systems: automated lead flow and nurture sequences, presentation frameworks, and investor CRM. There are 6 channels to feed them: LinkedIn, lead magnets, webinars, content, partnerships, and referrals. Deploy these systems and your capital raising will grow so fast, it'll be unfair to your competition. All right, the traditional method is manually reach out to 50 people. You get 10 respond, 3 are interested, and 1 commitment, right? Raising 100 grand. And that could take 3 months or more, right? But use a systematic approach. Use these automated flows. I'm telling you, just put these into practice. You're gonna capture 100 leads in 30 days, and then you're gonna send automated emails, educate them, automated text sequences. You're gonna get 20 who become qualified, and then you're gonna present the deal to all 20, get 5 committed, raise $500,000 in 1 to 2 weeks. There's a massive difference there, okay? You see the difference there. Traditional, you're the bottleneck. Systems, technology does the heavy lifting. Now, if you want help building these systems, if you want us to set up your LinkedIn automation, build your email sequences, create your text sequences, create your webinar funnels, and plug you into our investor network, we do it in the REI Accelerator and REI Boardroom Mastermind. And we don't just teach you, right? We build it with you. There's a link I'm gonna drop in the description. Drop a comment below this video and let me know, what's your biggest challenge with raising capital right now? What system did we speak about that resonated with you the most, all right? Now, looking forward to seeing you next week. Let's get to work. Let's raise some capital.